morning to everybody who's on the West Coast. Welcome to Mrs. Best Reviews channel. I know we are here a little bit early, just a little bit early. It is 9 a.m. on a Saturday. I have a lot to do this Saturday. So because of that, I changed the time to a little bit of an earlier recap. So for those who are just joining, this channel does do recaps of television and music reviews and shows, food, you name it, we review it all. But today we're here to recap the WeTV series Love During Lockup, which is a part of the Love After Lockup family of shows. So the recent episode that just aired was called Once a Criminal, which I can understand. And the episode starts with Letitia and Keith. So for those who are unfamiliar with the show, Letitia is an entrepreneur. She is out of, I believe, Davenport, Iowa, the show says, and she is a tax professional. So she has an actual tax business similar to places like H&R Block and all of that. So throughout this episode with Letitia, we see and pick up from where we left off with someone, or not someone, but her husband, Keith. She finds out that one of her employees used to date him years ago, back when they were like 18, and these people are all 30 plus now. So she finds out that her employee used to date Chris, and she's trying to get to the bottom of things, figure out if they slept together and all of that and whatnot. So we see that the call drops. I need my tea to get through. Apologies. So we see that the call drops, or what they make us believe that Keith hung up. In my head, I'm like, anybody who knows someone who's been to jail or even watches Love After Lockup should know, like, calls drop all the time. But the call drops. Keith does call back, and when she asks him, like, did you sleep with her? It's a yes or no question, sir. He laughs. He laughs instead of answering the question. So I'm like, Letitia, you say, oh, my husband's this and that, and I want him a part of my business. But why would you want someone a part of your business who you can't even trust or can't give you a decent answer on their past? Now, I know some people are weird about exes, but listen, when you get to a certain big age, nobody has time for that. Do you? Did you sleep with this girl? Yes or no? I don't care. I just need to know either way. But he says no. Eventually, I didn't buy the no. I think her husband and her employee fucked. But hey, I don't see how she could get mad at it if they did. They did it when they were 18. Now you guys are 30. So I don't see the issue. So we find out a little bit from Letitia, a little bit more about Keith. He's basically, she says, has been popular his whole life. Apparently, popularity exists outside of high school, because I have yet to hear an adult really speak like that. Popularity? I understand some people are like known better, things like that. But I'm like, okay. So Letitia says that Keith is desired by a lot of women. He's not unattractive. Not my type, but he's not unattractive. I'm like, I was just looking at the videos and things they were showing to Keith on the show. And I was like, dreadlocks can take a nigga super far. Dreadlocks can take you so far. Some of the wackest looking people, you put some dreadlocks on them, especially black people, and they suddenly is extra beautiful. So, not much happened with Letitia and Keith in this episode. We do see her finish out this episode that aired yesterday with her meeting with a lawyer. And I was curious. I was like, why is she meeting with the lawyer? Because they're already married. Is it a post-nup? Is there something else going on? And we basically find out that she wants to consult with the lawyer because she is a businesswoman. And obviously she has some type of smarts, because everybody is saying this to her. Do you really think that's smart to have somebody who's locked up behind bars right now to be running a tax business with consultations? It just doesn't make sense. I don't think anybody, Letitia, will want you to service their tax needs unless they were absolutely desperate, knowing that you have your convicted felon of a husband working there. Like, I think felons should have a shot just like the rest of us. However, they are felons for a reason. So there are certain stipulations that go in place that make sense, like tax paperwork for someone who, broke the law. That's a big deal. It's people's social security numbers. You can't do nothing without that. It's very important. So we do see the lawyer tell her, like, homegirl, you crazy. He said in a professional way, but you can't realistically expect for that to be there. And she's explaining to the lawyer, my husband's a good person, and Yada, yada, yada. Listen, Letitia, Jesus was a good man too, and they still whipped his ass on the cross. So just because you a good person does not mean that people's social security numbers and their personal sensitive information needs to be put at risk. I don't think any person who's running a tax business is actually this dumb. And this is where a lot of the complaints of fans and the audience watching Love After Lockup, Life After Lockup, and Love During Lockup, we're like, some of these storylines just do not seem real whatsoever because ain't no way in hell a tax professional is dumb. But that is all Letitia and Keith gave us this episode. So we're going to move on to the next couple. And I am going over the couples and what happened through the episode, just in the order that we TV threw them at us. So that would be Renika and Asante. Oh my God. Like, when I hear their names, like without seeing Renika and Asante, like before I'd ever seen them, just reading their names, I don't expect much. I really don't. I just don't. So we see Renika, and she is talking to her mom about some things, preparing for her going away party because Asante in less than a week will be coming home, which means she's gonna hightail her thin ass to Georgia. 2 shakes in the wind. That'll be her and her children. So her mom is telling her while they're preparing, like, listen, you can do better. You do not have to choose him. And her family's been very vocal, which I actually appreciate, about their concerns and how multiple women in the family have been committed to men who are, basically career criminals, constantly going to jail, basically unavailable. And it seems to have really impacted the family. Renika obviously is, she obviously has some daddy trauma and issues and is moving based on that throughout life. I think everyone can figure that out pretty early on. But at her going away party, her family was on her ass. And when I say on her ass, I mean on her ass like white on rice. Her family was very vocal about how they felt, but they were also respectful with it. Usually people do too much. The family's like, no, leave my grandkids here. Why are you taking them away? What the hell? And so on and so forth. So I actually liked that because they did it, but they still came out to, support her. And Renika says that. So then it escalates because the family, her sister, her mother, her cousin, they want to talk to her like, you leaving in 3 days? Like, this is abrupt. Your children, your family, your entire life is here. And honestly, I got to agree with your family, Renika. I really do, because listen, I'm not moving far away from nobody who's supporting me, there for me, things of that nature. Like, especially if you're able to find jobs and have some form of success. I know she's got her little eyelash vending machine things. Like, even if it's just $20,000 a year, that's income that you're going to be far away from. It's going to make it more difficult to handle your business. It's like, I just don't understand why these women, these people on this show in general, they don't fucking think. They just don't think. If I start a business and it starts bringing in $20K a year, that's not a lot, but I'm not going nowhere. I'm going to build that business up. Renika, she's a little different. So when she finds out that her family's not happy and they try to talk about it, one thing led to another. I wouldn't even call it like a huge argument or blowout because they're family. So I feel like they'll be okay. And they seem like a loud family. But she ends up kicking her family out, calling security to literally physically put out her sister, her mom, and I believe a cousin. I'm like, Renika, did you do that for the camera? Because that was just extra. Because that looked like you throwing a big ass fit and you a grown ass woman. Now, it might, in her mind, be necessary to do that because though the Mrs. Best Reviews channel will not be dragging her anymore for her green onion wig, we still cannot ignore thy wig. Thy wig that is on Renika's head is a wig that lets you know that a woman makes questionable choices. A wig that tells us that her perception is different from the rest of society's. A wig that tells us that she wants to be just like these niggas with sideburns and all of that. So listen, based on that girl's wig, I don't think Renika makes the best decisions, but putting your family out over a man you've barely known for a couple of months who is demonstrating he's not going to change because he has his contraband iPhone that he's FaceTiming and having phone sex with you on in his cell. I think your family has every right to be concerned. And I think if you're going to get in a situation like this, either way, people going to do what they want to do. However, comma, if you know you're going to do what you're going to do, then why rock the boat and argue with your family? Stop fighting and beefing with your family and close friends and stuff over ain't shit niggas. And that's to every female. That is my advice. That is all we see happening with Renika. I think that her storyline's probably going to end or give us some interesting content clarity sooner than later, because Asante is obviously not serious. A retarded toddler could figure out that Asante is not that damn serious about Renika, and it's unfortunate. It really is, because it does seem like she's independent. She has her kids, but she doesn't give bitter baby mama. She seems, to have family support system, a good work ethic. These are things that men usually find attractive. But Asante, she's just one of many FaceTimes in a lonely cell at night. So that's all we got for Renika and Asante in the Once a Criminal episode. The next couple, and a newer couple, we've known that this couple was coming on the show, but they had not actually premiered on the show yet, would be Savannah and Jake. So Savannah and Jake are extremely interesting. At first, just looking at the previews and stuff, I didn't know what the hell Savannah and Jake would give. I had no idea. But now I'm seeing that their situation is actually, I can kind of appreciate it, because it reminds me of like old school Love After Lockup, like back in the Andrea and Lamar days before Brittany and Marcelino. Like, they kind of give me that energy just a little bit with all that's going on. So Savannah is a 26-year-old, and she works for a company that does plays and community theater, things like that. So she enjoys acting, plays, musicals, modeling, things of that nature. Jake is a 30-year-old, and he is the inmate in this situation. So the first thing we learn from Savannah is she is a lot. She's got a big personality. We find out that she loves attention, because she says it. I love attention. And we see all of her catfish selfies. I'm calling them catfish selfies because when your pictures look entirely different from who you are. I know if I put on some makeup, because I don't have nothing on my face right now, but if I put on some makeup, full makeup, I can look like an entirely different person. Savannah, obviously from her plays, just being a girl, she is using the makeup and the filters to her advantage, because what she looked like did not look like her on that regular screen. And either way, she's an okay looking girl. So I'm like, girl, stop doing all of that online. But I definitely got the sense from what they were showing for Savannah's online pictures. I was like, oh, in the words of my husband, shout out to Oh So Best, go stream him, she gave Thoughtarella. She definitely did. And she definitely confirmed that. So Savannah and Jake have been together for a little bit of time. She says that even though she and Jake have not physically been intimate in person, that he is the best sex that she has had in her life, even though it's over the phone. I bet it's the best sex of your life when you're doing it over the phone, because you know what to do to yourself. Hey, listen, your intimate moments with yourself, it's not very hard to pleasure yourself if you know what you want. So it's just funny when she's saying that this is the best sex she's had, because phone sex, you got to do the work. There's some talking, but the physical stuff, you doing. So I thought that was funny. I don't know why all these Love After Lockup couples always want to focus in on sex. Like, nobody is lusted over your dusty inmate smelling dicks. I'm just keeping it 100. Nobody in real time with sense fully wants that. So we find out that Savannah herself, she says she was a hoe, and she had never been faithful to any man that she had ever talked to or dated. And she stated that she is constantly cheating. She says she liked to get around. She hasn't found that connection. She says she does have that connection with Jake. So we find out early on that Jake loves Savannah, but doesn't want to get married. And I'm like, well, that's strange. And at first I was looking at Jake with the side eye, like, young man, how you telling all this stuff? Because you listen to Jake on the phone and he's saying stuff that sounds right. He's making us feel comfortable. Yeah, hell, I understand why she would fall for him. The man has slick lips, and that's just a fact. But But as we dig deeper into the episode and find out more and more about these two, we find out that she has no relationship with Jake's mom, which is fucking weird. No relationship. Hello, Yvonne. Good morning. I appreciate you for always tuning into my little lives. But we find out from Savannah and Jake basically that she has an issue with his mother. And well, the mother has an issue with her. And it sounds like at first we're like, well, what could this issue be about? What could the problem possibly be with him being in jail? Is it just a mom being concerned? But it turns out that the mom heard rumors. Now, when Savannah says she was a hoe, that's why she referred to herself as that. She was not lying, because I guess she was so busy out there with her little hive, sleeping with different men, to where her mother was able to hear a rumor in the town that Savannah cheated on Jake. And the reason that she heard this rumor is because her mother-in-law, Jake's mom, ran into a guy at just a live show, while out in public. And he's like, why are you here? And she explains she's with her. And the man made a disgusted face, they say. He was disgusted to hear that Jake's mom was with Savannah. And that's where she finds out from him. He's like, oh, we used to hook up. When's the last time we used to hook up? It was fairly recent, because she hasn't been with Jake that long. So the mom is off put by that. And honestly, I don't blame her. If you sleeping with so many niggas that people could come up to your in-laws or anybody talking about, nah. It's like, whoa, look, be careful there. And that goes for men or women. There is no like, oh, men can do it, women can't, whatever the fuck. Don't come at me with that gender bullshit. Don't come at me with that shit, because I will not acknowledge it on this channel. But y'all know what I mean. So we hear Savannah and Jake talking because she's prepping for letters. She wants to get a commutation for Jake, which a commutation, for those who are unsure, is basically where you write a letter to your governor to see if you can, be released. Show them you understood, that your crimes have hurt people. Show them you're changed. Or if you didn't do it, because America's fucked up and most people arrested, unfortunately, for certain demographics are actually innocent, then you might, be able to write, the governor or whatever to, get off, kind of like a presidential pardon. So Savannah's trying to get that for Jake, which to me, I'm like, why? If he did the crime, do the time. That's just how I feel. I think most criminals expect, if they get caught, to have to do some type of time, because shit, there's not as many people running as we would think. So, but this is what she's trying to do for Jake. So she says his family, his aunt is supposed to come over. So I guess he is close with his mother's sister, which is different. No one shows up. No one shows up. No one answers the phone. From Savannah's friend to Jake's aunt, nobody shows up. No one answers the phone. So now we're looking at her with more of a side eye. So she gets on the phone with Jake. He's able to calm her down and all of that, says he loves her, appreciates her. It sounds like his family's not always there for him. But I think what people behind bars have to realize and remember, which is difficult for them because, they're behind bars, is you chose to commit a crime and your families didn't. So when people commit crimes, your loved ones end up having to deal with your attitudes, taking time out their schedule to go and bring you stuff, to visit you, dealing with your family, all these things that a normal spouse should not be able to do. I have friends that are dealing with spouses in jail, and their spouses act like they have no fucking sense. And they still do these things. So Jake's family is not doing any of these things, and I guess he feels a lack of support. And it sounds like they have individual family issues separate from Savannah. Savannah is so gung-ho on getting fucking married and so damn dingy that she's just like, okay, well, do you think we'll ever get married? Is your mom not wanting a relationship with me a deal breaker? Yes, it is for some people. I don't agree with allowing our parents to determine who we date, but I do agree that the opinion of the closest people in our lives should matter just a little bit when it comes to dating. His mom doesn't accept you. If his mom doesn't accept you, it's going to be very difficult for you guys to move forward unless he's prepared to live his life without his mama. So I'm interested to see where their storyline goes. And I think it's interesting. I think that Renika and Asante or one of these other couples will probably drop off the show early, kind of like Gabby and Chris last season for whatever reason. And they have to have another couple. So Savannah and Jake seems like they're going to give. I do feel like the show did a little better with casting, but they gotta still like hold back and let reality TV go back to, reality. And we need to just see stuff play out. So the next couple that we see on the show for this episode is Andy and Brittany. Andy and Brittany, to me, are the weirdest and most fascinating couple because of the fact that Andy is a former cop. And not just I got a degree in criminal justice and was a cop for a year, but got injured. No. He was a cop for over 13 years in Georgia, state with high recidivism. Anywho, so Andy and Brittany are together. In the last episode, we find out that Andy, which was pretty clear, was not really as supportive to his daughters and his children as he would like to admit. So we know Andy's previous marriage and relationship, his wife also had a drug issue. She was not a criminal, but she did have an issue with drugs that affected and broke up their family. After that, his daughters, I guess, ended up in his custody, but basically their grandparents raised them. Sorry, thugs. And we find out that Andy did not tell Brittany about this because when his daughters are talking to her, just trying to get to know her instead of treating her like shit, they're like, listen, we can't trust my dad. He wasn't there for us. He abandoned us after the divorce. And now we have to meet you who has issues similar to our mother's circumstances. You're like making your kids relive their trauma, Andy. I hate that for them. I really do. But Brittany was, for the first time, the inmate locked up, I was on the side of. I was like, that is not okay for you to leave that out about what you've done with your children when she has children too. And Brittany says that. She says, I thought you were super close with your kids. I don't want to be visited by you because they had an upcoming visit. She said, because I don't want you around my kids if you can just lie. And then I'm hearing that you're inconsistent with children. I won't hurt my children any further. I actually respected the hell out of Brittany for that. She's like, listen, I'm in jail. I fucked up. This is why, but I'm not trying to put my kids into my shit. And there are a lot of people where, it's not good to be putting your life of craziness before your children. Your children should always come first. If you've made the choice to have kids, they should come first. I really don't give a damn about your feelings, but your kids should come first. And Brittany seems to be about that and wanting to show her kids she's serious, which she should. So basically, she goes off on him. She's like, I don't know if I want to be with you. I need time to think on things. She says, don't visit me this weekend. And this man, she done pissed off this man. He don't know what to do with it. He starts kicking the laundry all over the yard. And I was dying laughing because for those who have DVR, the ability to rewatch the episode, go rewatch that thing because his neighbor was outside doing something with his hose. And you could tell he's like just avoiding the cameras living. And you see Andy's white ass just kicking his laundry everywhere. There's a shirt over here. There's a pair of Hanes right over here, a scarf over there. I'm like, well, shit. He was mad. He said, and just kicked it. He's just kicking the laundry. At the end of it, he kicked all the laundry out of the hamper, and then he kicked the hamper. I said, oh, she done got to this man. So that was pretty much all we got from Andy and Brittany. I'm interested to see where it goes, but I don't know. If she's serious, but then because she's an inmate, I also have the thought like, oh, how convenient. One small issue happens now. He doesn't need to visit you. That's very strange. Who's visiting you on the weekend? Andy's missing, Brittany. That's all I want to know. Moving on to the next couple, Jade and Chris. So Jade and Chris are very, very interesting. Jade and her, she says her sisters, they're like the Kardashians. They're all very cute girls. They're very close as well. And now one sister looks out for her. So in the previous episode, the sister was tired of Jade and Chris's toxic bullshit. And this is our Native American casino running couple. Very odd to me. I'm interested in Chris's family because we haven't heard her speak about them. We're just hearing Jade's family's issues with Chris. But obviously he has his family if he can give you $12,000 a month. And I'm wondering how his family feels about Chris buying all this stuff for Jade. Does his family know about the toxicness? Like, what's really good? Like, we want to know. But basically, Jade lets Chris know that her sister will be coming with her on the next visit when he's in South Dakota, I believe. He feels like Jade's sisters don't want them together. He is correct in his feelings. They don't. They think the relationship in general is a bad look, which I can understand. If I saw my loved one in a situation like that, I'd be like, yo, what the hell are you doing? I actually have a friend with a spouse who's been locked down for a while. And it's like, I get it. You don't always want your loved ones with certain people, but at the same time, like, relax. I'm not about to be visiting the nigga and doing all this extra stuff, but that's her sister. So listen, I do it for my sister. I would. I ain't gonna lie. So we find that out. She says in a confessional, we didn't get much from them throughout the episode, but Jade does say in a confessional, which I found to be extremely important, if Chris cannot get along with her family, then the relationship won't work. A lot of people are those, if you can't love my family, I can't be with you. And listen, I'm not like that, but a lot of people are. If you have family that's been so good to you, I don't see why you wouldn't want to do that. But they talk about all these serious issues. And then literally randomly, the subject is changed. She's like, you want a video chat? And we see her change clothes and stuff, get him excited or whatever, the video chat. But who else peeped that Chris has a commissary contraband iPhone as well? I said, they just got a season full of inmates that don't give a fuck, which shows you that, in my opinion, most of these couples won't last, which is what we hope for in the Love After Lockup series. We hope with Love During Lockup that we get to see them on Life After Lockup. Stop casting people who aren't going to be released for 40 and 50 years, standing by their spouses and things like that. We want to see them on Love After Lockup. And then after Love After Lockup, we want to see some of the same people we bond with on Life After Lockup. But we cannot do that with how WeTV cast some of these people. If you casting people who have contraband cell phones, off the rip, you should know WeTV. They're not taking shit seriously, and they're not going to become someone that you want off camera and can really film. That's just how I feel. But maybe WeTV just likes the entertainment. It seems like they do whatever they can for a stream. But they have their little situation with phone sex, and I don't know. But I will say with Jade, unlike Renika, she was smart. She didn't out her dude. I don't know how you got that cell phone. Listen, I'm not talking about it. I'm not commenting. So I wonder if they do that, just because of the differences between Jade and Renika, because I don't know. Anywho, but not much happened with Jade and Chris this episode. So I was just like, which surprised me because I was kind of expecting a lot from them because they gave a lot in the previous episodes. So the last couple we will discuss on this fine Saturday morning is Brittany and Karak. So they are our youngest couple, probably our dumbest couple, most gullible couple, most naive couple. But we did learn a lot about Brittany. Now, Brittany was in jail as well. She actually met Karak, who is transitioning in jail. So Karak's been taking testosterone pills and all of that in jail. So Brittany's been living with Karak's brothers without Karak, which to me is weird. I just don't think it's wise for a woman to live with a bunch of men unless it's like your blood family, your men, But hey, so they moved recently, got a bigger house. She's talking to her friend Shayla, I believe, who I really like. I really like Brittany's friend because even though she's young, you could tell she just cares about her friend and tries to talk to her from a place of honesty and, love. So Brittany has expressed that she wants to have a baby, which I was like, based on her decisions, I didn't know if this young girl understood science. Now, Karak and her were born with the same parts. So transition or not, it don't just work that way. So we find out that she is serious about having a baby and she's looked into it. And she finds out that she would basically be a surrogate. She would carry the baby, but it would be Karak's eggs so that they both could have, that bond and attachment. She's looking into that, which is something that should be really expensive. I have actually gone through fertility treatment with my husband years ago to have a baby. And that is expensive because we were considering going that route of just, taking his sperm and putting it into me and all of that. That stuff is expensive. And we had good medical insurance, honey. So I don't know how 21 or 22 and 24-year-old are going to be able to afford something like that. But in Brittany's mind, they can. So she really wants to have a baby. She says Karak is coming home soon in just a little bit. And we start to dive into Brittany's family dynamic. So we already found out that Brittany's family, her parents are present, but they were extremely strict, which I don't know why you people keep trying to lock down children. If you want your teen to stop doing something, don't tell them to stop doing it, because then they'll run out, go commit robberies, end up in jail, and then you don't hear from them. So Brittany's family's Catholic. They're extremely traditional and strict, which is why she ran away from home and got into a lot of what she got into. She basically, her parents know that she's with someone, but they're not as accepting of it. They don't fully understand it, she says, because Karak is transitioning. There are a lot of people who are still not able to understand transitions of, genders and things like that. Hell, psychologists, I'm a psych major graduating next month. Psychology is still trying to understand the science behind all of it. So listen, people don't understand it. There's still those people in the world. No, it doesn't mean they're hateful, but some people just don't understand it. And that's what that is. If you don't want to be hated on and you're part of the LGBTQ community, then don't hate on others just for lack of understanding. That's all I'm saying. But anywho, her parents are extremely uncomfortable with it. I guess this is her first relationship really that's been demonstrated to them that's serious, same sex, and the person's transitioning. So that, I guess, could be a lot for her Catholic parents. Now, she is talking to her friend, and her friend's like, you need to tell your mom about Karak if you want to do all these things. And Brittany's like, I don't know if I really want to do that. Her friend's like, well, you can't have Karak getting to know your mom if you and her aren't good. If you have this many issues with your family, Brittany, you shouldn't be concerned about Karak. You should be getting to know them and taking time to spend with them while he's locked up and stuff. But that's not happening because Karak is not a natural born man, but sure in the fuck do act like it. He's also very possessive because we see him call Brittany because she ends up missing a visit, talking to her friend about the situation with her mom and whatnot. And she tries to get on. She misses the video visit. It takes a while to connect. And Karak ends up calling. She answers the phone. He goes off on her. You got me out here looking stupid and yada, yada, yada for a video visit and you didn't show up. And he just hangs up. And she says, oh, he's upset. I don't know how to be alone. That's what she says. She says she does not know how to be by herself and that without her family, Karak is all she has. So sad. I think a lot of young women can relate to her also with difficult upbringings or people who are on their own. I left my house at 16. I had to, though. I grew up in an abusive household, so I had to leave. I left my house at 16, never the fuck looked back. So I think anybody who had to grow up fast or anything like that, I can definitely understand the struggle of not wanting to be alone. But once you're able to and learn how to be alone, you will find the beauty in it. So this gave me Karak is emotionally manipulative. He seems a little bit like abusive, aggressive, all the stuff. But, she's young. So I'm interested. A couple of these people, we should be seeing their spouses soon. We've got Asante, who's being released. So I'm hoping to see him with Renika. We've got Karak, who's going to be released very soon. So I'm hoping that some of these couples get released and we get some interesting storylines. But that is all that happened on last night's episode of Love During Lockup. This has been my recap of the Once a Criminal episode. Updates for what's happening next on the Mrs. Best Reviews channel. As always, we will continue to post shorts and stuff so you can get to know me and Mr. Best, see what we like to do for fun. We're just regular people. Let's see. On Wednesday, we have recaps on my channel here. We will be going over Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, season 11, episode 9. And as always, we should have James from Watch Your Mouth Reviews. I'm not too sure yet, but he should be there. If not, you're stuck with me. That will be 12 o'clock on Wednesday, August 9th. We also, if you want to see me discuss more shows, I do discuss and recap shows on other channels. One of those channels is the Watch Your Mouth Reviews channel, which is ran by my good friend of 20 years, James. He's also an author. For those who are interested, check out James Jackson's book, Fraternity Row. But I will be on his channel to recap Real Housewives of Atlanta, as well as OWN Network's Bell Collective. We also, on that same day, will be having a song review, as we do every week, usually on Wednesday or Thursday. And Also Best should be a part of that. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Those are my updates. I hope everyone has thy best Saturday and thug life.